Left leg, ready, 25.
The workouts that he told us to do, I'd be like, there's nothing to that. I'll do that. And I'd start knocking it out.
Come here, Josh.
10. And then I'd be like, ouch, what's that? Oh, man.
My favorite time during the workout was sitting down in between the exercises.
Oh, that is terrible. All the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up.
I felt like a walking dead man.
Last 5, you got this.
I think the biggest challenge was probably when we actually had to really work out. I'm about to puke. I really felt like I was gonna puke.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, August 18th, and today's gonna be a busy day. It's gonna be mixed in between appointments and momming, and you guys, my schedule has been chaotic this week. So many appointments, getting ready for school, and then also having to work, and then having to get stuff done at home. Who else is like trying to pull all the different, like wear all the different hats in your family? Raise your hand. Yeah, it's a lot. But I certainly wouldn't have it any other way. So today we are going to talk about a variety of different things because that's what we do on this channel. Yesterday I did a deeper dive into the Josh Duggar the criminal case against him, where we talked about testimony by Gerald Faulkner and the humongous mistakes that Josh made in his, I don't even know, attempts to be a part of a very, very, very disgusting underworld of trafficking of content online. Horrible. And we talked about his biggest mistakes, from not using the password that he used for like banking and utilities and his Instagram and social media accounts, using that same password for the Linux partition, backing up his phone to his computer so they were able to get access to text messages that helped them pin and place him at the exact location where the content was downloaded. And the fact that he did not use a VPN when he was in the peer-to-peer network, and so they were able to access his IP address. There was just a lot of things that Josh did, and then he filled out that, oh my gosh, he filled out a review for a construction company while he was in the middle of downloading the worst content on the web. Now, as more and more information is coming out about this case, and people in the family or people around the Duggars are starting to learn more about this, there has been a very big shift in people and how they feel about what's happening. So one of the things that came out in this case was that the government had stated that Josh and Anna were maybe not being the most forthcoming about allowing their children to be evaluated forensically by law enforcement and Child Protective Services following his arrest. One of the biggest things that happens after an arrest like this, and there are children involved because of Josh's crimes, the law enforcement and Child Protective Services like to be able to evaluate the children of the offender, or the alleged offender, of the accused, let's just say, to ensure that those children are not also victims. But apparently the government says that Josh and Anna, or Josh at least, was not being the most cooperative in having the kids get forensically evaluated. They didn't expand on it, but they objected to the judge giving him full access to his kids. Now, this has been a huge sticking point for a lot of people because they are concerned about the safety of the kids. They're also concerned about Anna. So there was a couple things that happened yesterday that I was able to get a little bit more details on, and I just wanted to share them with you. First of all, I had an opportunity to speak to someone who basically told me that, you know, this case is horrible, right? And they said that the more information that comes out, the more confident they are and assured that Josh is guilty. Now, they also stated that Jim Bob Duggar will likely do whatever it takes to get Josh off. So this was something that I thought was very, very interesting. The quote was, "If I know Jim Bob, he will do everything he can to get Josh off these charges, to have his innocence proclaimed, to get him out of this." I don't really understand why he is so obsessed. And when I asked, you know, what is with this obsession with Josh? And they said it's the firstborn, maybe? I don't know. So Jim Bob is apparently very, very dedicated to cleaning up Josh's messes because according to my source, he's very, very, very obsessed with his family name. So he'll do whatever it takes to make sure that things are handled in a way so that things on the outside looking in look perfect, even if they're not. And another person I spoke to stated that in terms of how the family navigates these types of situations, it's Jim Bob Duggar rules the roost. And if there's any belief that Michelle Duggar has a choice or, any sort of, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to handle it, my sources say no, that Jim Bob is the one that's in control, that makes the choices, and that everyone else just has to go along with it, and that Jim Bob is, for all intents and purposes, to the people I've spoken to, they claim that he is a control freak. So that's their statements, not mine. In terms of him taking all of those steps to do whatever it takes to get Josh off, meaning that he'll pay for defense, a vigorous defense to attempt to get Josh out of this, despite the fact that there's glaring evidence by the federal government that Josh is the one that actually downloaded this content. Jim Bob is going to stick to the story that Josh is innocent, and he's going to do everything that he takes to get Josh out of this. This problem seems to permeate because apparently people I've spoken to from the IBLP state that the way that the IBLP works and the way that this whole cult works is that they want to sweep things under the rug. So when something happens, it's say you're sorry, forgive the person, and then move on and never talk about it again. When really bad things happen, in like what Josh did to his sisters or what happened with Josh when he was a child with the people, in terms of Josh getting the proper help that he needed, that was also Jim Bob Duggar's decision, and it was also handled, obviously we know, not well, and Josh never got the help that he needed. And so, you start to realize that in the cult, they don't want anyone to know about anything. And we've heard from people that have been in this cult that basically say that, like, all of these types of crimes are always swept under the rug because they truly believe that, if you repent and you say you're sorry to God, then you can just move on. Like, that's it. So they truly believe they can do the worst of the worst. They can apologize. They can do whatever they need to get in good standing with God, whatever the discipline is or whatever the work they have to do, and then everything's hunky-dory. And instead of actually going through counseling, the kids just sit there and pray to God and talk about what they did, and that's it. Never uncovering the source of why things have happened. Now, I also had an opportunity to, get a better sense of where Anna's at, and people I speak to a lot from this cult, they seem to have, or that have survived the IBLP, and that's what I talk about with this cult. That's what I'm talking about, the Institute and Basic Life Principles, is that Anna is, for all intents and purposes, trapped because she is in a situation where no matter what she does, she can't say no to Josh. She has been taught her whole entire life that her umbrella of authority is beneath Josh, and that if she is to go against what Josh wants, she is going against what God wants, and if going against what Josh wants and getting out from his authority, she gets closer to the devil and bad things can happen. Because of this authority, she can't say no to anything he says. She can't say yes or no to anything. It's Josh says, Josh goes. So this can make women put on a face of everything is fine, because also in this cult, women are told that they cannot show signs of anger or frustration because bitterness or sadness is a sign of, selfishness or pridefulness, and thinking about yourself and having feelings for yourself is, again, sinful. And so because of that, this glazed over happy smile that you see on so many of these women is, I'm told, hidden behind the smiles hide pain and frustration and anger and helplessness. So while Anna feels like it's her duty to stay with him, she also is in a situation where she's being abused. And women in this cult don't get to say no to their husbands. Men have total authority. Women are not valued. Women don't get to go to school. They don't get to have much of an education. When they are born, from the time they are born until 18 years old, they are taught and trained to be an obedient, submissive helpmeet to their first fathers and then their spouse. So for Anna, her job is to be his helpmeet. So knowing that, right now, you've got a bunch of enablers that are around Josh. Anna is brainwashed to be an enabler to Josh. But one person that could seriously get out of this and doesn't have to do this is Jim Bob Duggar. Jim Bob Duggar did not grow up in the IBLP. He did not grow up in a world of the IBLP. This is something that he walked into as an adult. And this whole idea that he is going to continue to try to get Josh out of this because it will be better for the family, you know, to not have this on their tarnished reputation or whatever. The problem is that all the things that they continue to do doesn't help. They didn't get him help when he was a kid. They told him to pray and to shovel out stuff. He has only escalated. His crimes have only gotten worse. His behavior has only become more and more deviant. Now you have a father that could put down some hard boundaries and some hard, tough love and said, you're done. I'm not going to help you anymore. But he won't, because he cares so much about that family name, and he truly will just not look at the obvious, refuse to look at the logic, refuse to look at the evidence, and believe wild conspiracies that are completely implausible, rather than admit the hard truth. Whether or not Jim Bob actually knows that this is true or not, it won't matter, because according to, again, my source, he will do everything in his power to make sure that Josh does not go to jail. Now, I don't think that's going to happen in this situation, but I'm guessing he's going to be willing to spend a lot of money in order to do that. Meaning, again, that other family members will not have access to that money. That money will not benefit anyone other than Josh, who is, by the way, a 33-year-old man and has his dad paying for his defense, allegedly. So, knowing all of that, do you think that Jim Bob at some point will just accept where they're at and acknowledge what's happened and admit to what Josh has done? Do you think that Jim Bob refusing to set boundaries and also to continually sort of cleaning up Josh's messes has fueled a situation where his behaviors have never gotten into check without any consequences? Is prayer enough to handle the deviant behavior of Josh? And are Anna and her kids safe in a situation where they have no ability to say no and they have to do what Josh says? Something's got to give, you guys, and I don't know when that's going to be, but my source says they are praying that once Josh goes to prison, Anna will wake up. Tell me what your thoughts are about all of this in the comments below. Bye, guys.